The train screeched to a halt in the middle of a fog-soaked nowhere, and the poor bride in the torn white dress stepped down only because she thought she heard her name whispered from inside the storm. But the instant her shoes touched the frozen platform, she realized with a jolt that this was not her stop, not even close, and the train doors slammed behind her with a merciless hiss before she could turn back. The wind slapped her veil sideways. The station's single flickering bulb cast eerie shadows across the empty building, and for a heartbeat she wondered if someone had led her here on purpose. She wrapped her shivering arms around herself, still wearing the faded gold bangles from the wedding she had never wanted, the wedding she had run from, and the wedding someone might even now be chasing her for. Snow fluttered like ashes around her as she stepped out from under the shelter, and she spotted the outline of a small ranch spread across the valley below. A single light glowed in the house window, warm and soft, the kind of light that made her chest ache with longing she hadn't felt in years. She began walking, feet sinking into cold mud, the thin dress dragging behind her like a ghost's tail. Inside that ranch house, the rancher sat at his worn table rubbing his temples, trying to ignore the ache of another lonely winter settling into the bones of the house. His daughter, small and sharp-eyed and always listening, sat across from him cutting shapes out of brown paper. She lifted her head the moment she heard footsteps outside. "Papa," she whispered, voice trembling. "Someone's coming." The rancher stiffened, pushed back his chair, grabbed the lantern, and stepped outside into the biting dark. He stopped dead when he saw the bride walking toward him, veil torn, face pale, eyes wide with something between terror and hope. For a second he thought she was nothing more than a hallucination, carved out of loneliness, but the way she stumbled forward, clutching her chest, proved she was painfully real. When she reached the porch steps, her legs gave out, and he dropped the lantern to catch her before she hit the ground. Her skin was ice. Her breath trembled. "Wrong station," she whispered, voice raw. "The train left. I thought someone called my name." The rancher lifted her easily, carried her inside, set her near the stove, and wrapped a blanket around her. His daughter stared, wide-eyed, unmoving. "Papa," she whispered again, voice cracking this time. "God sent Mother." The rancher flinched as though struck. His late wife's face flickered through his mind. The last memory of her, promising she would come back to him in a way he'd never expect. The bride looked nothing like her, yet something inside his chest twisted with impossible recognition. The bride warmed slowly, enough to see the little girl who approached her with trembling hands. "Are you my mother?" the girl whispered. The bride shook her head quickly. "No, sweetheart. I'm just lost." But the child only stared harder, as though the truth didn't matter. The rancher cleared his throat, forcing his voice steady. "You're safe here for the night. Tomorrow I'll take you to town." The bride nodded, but her gaze drifted toward the window, afraid someone out there was still hunting her. The rancher caught it. "Are you running?" he asked quietly. She hesitated, then nodded once. It was enough. He didn't press. Hours passed. Storm winds howled against the wood. The daughter fell asleep on the sofa. The bride sat by the fire, feeling warmth slip into her bones. The rancher watched her with uneasy curiosity, half suspicion, half something gentler. Finally, he said, "If someone's after you, they won't come through this storm. You can rest." The bride swallowed hard. "I didn't steal, didn't do anything wrong. I just couldn't stay." "Who tried to marry you off?" he asked quietly. Her throat tightened. "People who wanted the money my parents left behind." She looked down at her hands, fingers trembling around the blanket. "I didn't even know the groom. I met him the day they forced the dress on me." The rancher's jaw clenched. "And you ran." "I didn't plan to," she whispered, eyes glistening. "But when the train slowed, I heard someone call my name. A woman's voice, soft, familiar. I stepped out before I could think." The rancher felt the back of his neck prickle. "No one else got off with you?" "No one. The platform was empty." The daughter stirred at that exact moment, mumbling in her sleep. Mama. The bride froze. The rancher stared at his daughter, then at the bride. Unease racing through him like a storm. The bride's breath hitched. "That's the voice," she whispered. "That's the voice I heard at the station." The rancher's blood ran cold. "My daughter's voice?" She nodded slowly, fear and awe mixing in her eyes. "It was her voice that called me off the train." The rancher didn't sleep that night. He sat by the door with the shotgun resting across his knees, listening to the storm batter the windows, feeling the unsettling truth settle into his gut. Someone had led the bride here. Someone had used his daughter's voice, but why? When morning crept over the snow, pale and trembling, the rancher saddled the horse to take the bride into town. But the moment the child woke and saw her standing by the door, she burst into tears and clung to her dress as though losing her again would shatter the world. "Papa, she can't go," she cried. "God sent her for us." The rancher knelt and held his daughter close. "She's not your mother, sweetheart." "Then why did God send her voice to the train last night?" The little girl sobbed. The bride stepped forward gently. "I don't know why I heard you, but I'm grateful I did. You saved my life, little one." The daughter sniffed and tightened her grip. The rancher ran a hand through his hair, heart twisting. "One more day," he muttered finally. "You can stay one more day. Storm's still too thick anyway." The daughter beamed. The bride's lips parted in relief. But by evening, the peace shattered. A truck engine roared up the icy road, stopping outside the ranch. The rancher's heart lurched. He grabbed the shotgun again. The bride went pale. The daughter clung to her skirt, trembling. Heavy boots hit the porch. Someone pounded on the door. "Open up," a man's voice shouted. "We know she's in there." The rancher motioned the bride behind him. He opened the door just a crack, revealing two large men, faces bruised, eyes cold, the kind of men who didn't come to talk. "You've got something that belongs to us," the taller one growled. Bride ran from her wedding. "Family sends us to get her." The rancher didn't budge. "She's a grown woman. She doesn't belong to anyone." The shorter man sneered. "She belongs to whoever paid for her." That broke something in the rancher. "Not on my land, she doesn't." The men shoved the door, but the rancher slammed it back and aimed the gun squarely at their chests. "You picked the wrong storm to chase her into." The men froze. The storm howled behind them. Tension thickened to a breaking point. Slowly, grudgingly, they backed away. "We'll be back," the tall one hissed. "Next time you won't be holding a gun." They climbed into the truck and tore back down the hill. When the rancher shut the door, the bride was shaking. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I never meant to bring danger." He set the gun down and stepped close. "None of this is your fault." The daughter hugged her tightly. "See," she whispered. "Papa protects us. And God sent you." The bride closed her eyes. For the first time in years, she believed safety might not be a lie. Night fell heavier than before, thick with dread. The bride helped the daughter to bed, singing softly until the child's breathing evened out. But when she stepped outside the room, she found the rancher staring at the window, jaw stiff. "They'll come back," he said quietly. "Tonight or tomorrow," the bride swallowed. "I can leave now. While it's dark, they won't follow." "No," he cut in sharply. "They're not taking you anywhere." She stared at him, stunned. "Why do you care so much?" For a long moment he didn't speak. Then he exhaled. "Because my daughter hasn't smiled like that in 2 years. Because something told you to get off that train last night. And because you looked at this house like you'd been searching for it your whole life." The bride felt something inside her fracture and then settle into place. Fragile but real. "I don't know why," she whispered. "But the moment your daughter touched my hand, I felt like I'd known her forever." Before the rancher could respond, a sharp crack split the air. A window shattered. The rancher grabbed her hand and pulled her down. "They're back," he hissed. Boots crunched over snow outside. Voices shouted. The daughter woke screaming. The rancher lifted the child with one arm and dragged both bride and daughter into the cellar trapdoor under the rug. "Quiet," he whispered, breath shaking with fury. "Both of you stay here." "No," the bride whispered, clutching his sleeve. "If they catch you." "They won't," he muttered. "They'll only see what I want them to." He closed the trapdoor before she could stop him. The bride clutched the child close, both trembling as heavy footsteps stomped across the house above. Furniture crashed. Men cursed. The daughter buried her face into the bride's chest, heart pounding. "Papa," she sobbed. The bride rocked her, whispering, "He's strong. He'll come back, he will." Then everything went silent. The bride's breath froze. No footsteps, no voices. Just silence, terrifying silence. Then the trapdoor lifted. The rancher stood above them, face bruised, shirt torn, but alive. "They're gone," he said hoarsely. The daughter ran to him, sobbing into his neck. The bride climbed out slowly, staring at him in disbelief. "How?" she breathed. He managed to smile. "Let's just say they didn't expect the back door." The bride stared at him. Relief, shock, admiration all blurring into something warm and dangerous. He held her gaze too long until she looked away, heart racing. Morning returned, soft and golden across the valley. The bride stood on the porch watching the sun melt the frost. The daughter joined her, slipping her small hand into hers. "Are you leaving today?" the girl whispered. The bride opened her mouth but couldn't answer. The rancher stepped out behind them, quiet as the dawn. "Those men won't risk coming back," he said. "Sheriff's involved now." The bride nodded, arms tightening around herself. "Thank you," she whispered. "For everything." The rancher's voice softened. "You don't owe me anything." The daughter tugged the bride's hand. "You can stay," she whispered hopefully. "Please stay." The bride's throat closed. She looked at the rancher. He looked back, eyes steady, offering nothing and everything at once. "I don't know where I belong anymore," she whispered. The rancher stepped closer, voice low. "Maybe you got off the wrong station. To find the right home." The daughter grinned through her. Missing front tooth and hugged tightly around the bride's waist. "Papa," she whispered, "God sent mother." The bride felt her heart collapse inward and open wide all at once. And the rancher, watching the way his daughter fit perfectly against the woman who had stumbled into their lives by accident or fate, whispered quietly, maybe God did."